Primal Chaos.
Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Enchroma Glasses. Enchroma makes corrective lenses and glasses for people with all kinds of color deficiencies. So if you're colorblind or you know someone who is, check out their website. And if you use the code CHAOS in checkout, CHAOS, you'll get 10% off. Tell them Primal Chaos at you. All right, so if you've been following along recently, I've been on a bit of a journey to correct some missteps where I feel like in my formative years of music listening, I've avoided listening to some really cornerstone bands and acts. And Rush is definitely one of those bands that everybody speaks so highly of. And, you know, recently I did a reaction to Tom Sawyer and I was really pleasantly surprised. They are amazing, right? You guys quickly pointed out that I had no idea what I was talking about as far as me having the hubris of thinking that maybe I'd understood Rush from that one listening. And that's absolutely right. I tend to do that. I tend to sort of categorize things on first listen. And, you know, another one that stands out like that is the band Bandmade from Japan. Every time I sort of say, I think I get where these guys are going now, I'm constantly reminded that I have no idea. And I get the feeling from the comments that that's the situation with Rush too. I also wanted to say up front, with this song YYZ, I have heard it before. It was on Guitar Hero, and I remember playing it years and years ago. And it must have been a good song because I remember the title. I also remember it seemed to be like an exercise in polyrhythms, which is always fascinating to me because it's something that I'm not super comfortable with in my own playing. And so I always try to push myself into listening to things that challenge me. So like I said, I have heard this song before. So from the perspective of this being a reaction video, I always like to be upfront and genuine with my reactions. So there you go. I have actually heard this. I don't remember it that well. But having said that, listening to a song through the lens of critically analyzing it and trying to dissect it and discuss it is a completely different thing to having a song on in the background or listening to a song, particularly one years ago. So there is a whole bunch of nuance and interest that comes from looking at a song through a critical lens as opposed to just passively listening. So there'll still be, for people out there who like honest and truthful first time reactions, there'll still be something here for you, even though I have heard this song technically before. I'm going to jump right in. Rush, YYZ, let's go. Wow, what a great rhythm. That's really interesting. I love that in that whole intro section there's really nowhere to hide. It's all off kilter. You've got that tick, 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 tick. That, I don't know whether it was a bell sound from a cymbal or some sort of weird metal percussive device. And then you've got the guitar riff that's obviously super iconic and interesting and, you know, da 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 da. That's cool. And the bass as well. Interestingly enough, Geddy seems to have kind of a high bass sound, right? It doesn't really sort of fill too much of the bottom end, which is interesting because it sort of strikes me as being more of a lead player. So that kind of makes sense, but that's interesting in and of itself. But the thing that really strikes my interest in that section is the synth, which is playing relatively straight. There are some parts where it's making some interesting changes and it's a single note. It's not chords or anything like that, but boy, does it give it like that whole piece context and flavor, right? Because realistically, it's just like more rhythmic instrumental stuff. And that keyboard gives it sort of like this menacing kind of discomfort. Listen to it again. It's you may not have even ever noticed it before, but I guarantee you it's 80% of what you're listening to. It's just this like, it's almost like so dissonant that it's warning you about something. Listen to that groove. Come on. Come on, man. How good's Neil Peart? Wow. I gotta go back. That hi-hat work. Like, if you listen to it, the rhythmically, like the kick and the snare is relatively. In this next part where it sort of takes off in that flighty sort of section, just listen to the hi-hat compared to the kick and the snare, right? Oh, that's so good. Like, take out the hi-hat and just boom. Like, that's the danger though, right? Because if you take out that, the hi-hat sort of floating, again, like this is just kind of like a trite thing to say, but it's like a butterfly sort of dancing around, right? And then, but when you listen to it, the kick and the snare is like, it's really simple, but it's not. Because if you listen to it, the nuance in the timing between those little ghost notes of the kick and the snare, and the way that he's sort of passing that rhythm is, you know, if you were to program a version of this song and you weren't paying attention, you could literally just like boom, ta, boom, ta, with like over the top. But that's not what's going on. If you listen really closely, there's some fluidity to how he's adjusting the flavor of that kick and snare by themselves to give it so much more funky nuance, right? This is why some people can play drums and then there's other people who are respected by all drummers, right? So there's little triplet rolls on the kick drums and stuff as well. Just a couple of harmonics there for no good reason. That was cool. Sorry, gotta go back. I mean, who am I apologizing to? You guys want to hear that solo again anyway. There's something, like I mentioned in the Tom Sawyer video that it sounded like Alex Lifeson was playing in reverse. The way that he phrases his lead parts sounds like he's recorded a guitar solo backwards and then they turn the tape around and then he learned how to play it again in reverse, if that makes sense. I'm going to take a gamble on this one. I don't think he picks any of this. I think this is all legato and like tapping and hammer-ons and stuff like that. I don't think I hear any picking. I might be there. So I think putting my reputation on the line. No, look, I think what he's doing is probably a hybrid sort of thing of, but if he is picking runs, whatever it is, he's doing a lot of using this finger, playing all these legato parts. And that could have something to do with how his phrasing sounds so unusual. Because when you play with a pick, typically, as guitar players, we learn our scales and modes in series. So it's real easy to put together phrases with that sort of cadence of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whereas his ones tend to sort of have a lot of push and pull that don't accent the same way. And so I can hear a lot of what he's doing there is, and sort of playing around with string bending and attacking a phrase in a way that's like not like. But you can do all of these sort of like little legato passages and stuff like that without ever picking a note. And also you can also however you want to do it. So he's probably doing a combination of picking at the occasional note or whatever, and then and it's fascinating because I love people who are just aren't comfortable with delivering. They're just not comfortable with delivering the status quo. Like we've all learned how to play guitar the same way. Why not come up with phrasing and articulation and use of the instrument that sort of falls outside the norm? Because that's when you hear things that are inspiring and new and different. I mean, how many kids heard, Alex Lifeson play guitar and go, that's like nothing I've ever heard before. I'm going to pick up a guitar and learn how that's done. That's really, really cool. It's not often that you come across a musician that's sort of so characteristically different. And again, this is my second Rush song. So I don't know. Maybe he does a whole bunch of stuff that's well within the zones of traditional guitar playing. I don't know. But to me, both of the solos I've heard so far are just so unusually phrased that it immediately piques my interest. Very, very cool. I'm going to jump back. I don't want to miss anything. Feedback. Who's the keyboard player? I'm trying to fill me in because I'm looking at it up here. It's not popping up on Google there. Man, so much soul of what you hear in this music is coming from that because, like I said, all of the other instruments outside of the keyboards have like more of like a textural kind of rhythmic sort of sensation, and they'll give you like an energy like, oh, this feels like a car chase, or this feels like, whatever. But if you want raw, solid emotions and stuff like that, the keyboards are what's bringing that in. A friend of mine we were discussing Dream Theater, and he said he likes, was it Kevin Moore? I might be getting that wrong. Was like the original, like, I think keyboard player for Images and Words, maybe. and Awake. Look, again, this is all off the top of my dome from years and years ago. And he was like, I always thought he was the best keyboard player for Dream Theater. And I was like, they've had, like Jordan Rudess and other guys are amazing sort of shreddy keyboard players. And he said, yeah, but what Kevin delivered was emotion and heart, right? And I don't mean that in like his soloing was like emotional and had a lot of depth and character. I mean, he spent most of his time adding that flavor to the overall sound of everyone else, with synth pads and chords and harmonization rather than flashy shredding. And it's true, when you listen to really early Dream Theater, some of what they had there, that sort of washy kind of, like you think of Pull Me Under, that washy sort of synthy kind of ambient sort of effect, they don't seem to have much anymore. They're more of like a shreddy kind of math rocky sort of band. And I think it's right. I think that's in part to having a different keyboard player. They add so much flavor to the overall sound that I think people they take it for granted, I think. But just listen to that part again. That's really amazing. It's a synth brass. It's kind of got this kind of orchestral, digital orchestral kind of flavor. And it's comparatively simple, but really effective. This video is insane, man. There's those harmonics again. That's cool.
Hey, Dirk, let's go back to the station.
Great. I got the new Rush cassette for the road.
Yiz? What the heck does that mean?
Probably some new term for marijuana.
No good dope-smoking degenerates. I should have known as soon as I saw those kimonos.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. That was so cool. Wow. I mean, I'm glad I saw it in that context. I think the animation there's something so cool, so psychedelically 70s about having like an animated music video. And I think this only got released a few years ago, I think as a remaster or something like that. But man, what an amazing achievement this song is. It's really cool. And I think it's one of those tentpole songs that historically stands up as being influential in getting people to listen to music outside their comfort zone. Like when I was in high school, the first experience I really had with anything outside of the normal sort of, 4/4 meter was Dave Brubeck's Take 5. And I remember hearing that going, you can count up to 5 in music. Like and not only that, just the feel of it, like that, anytime you sort of change the tempo away from 4/4, you get like this pushing and pulling that sort of adds drama and tension to every bar of the song. And you're just going, whoa, I don't know which way to look. And then I used to have this profound respect for musicians that could play in 5/4 because, it's hard to even just think rhythm guitar wise of something outside of just your normal 4/4 because it's all we're inundated with in the West, right? And so it's always been one of those things. But I feel like for me, it was Dave Brubeck, but I feel like for an entire generation or generations of young musicians, hearing YYZ is the thing that probably, you know, as far as songs with extreme rhythms, it was probably one of those ones that probably opened a lot of eyes, I'd imagine, you know. Let me know if that was you. Like that, because, I mean, Rush probably does a lot of this sort of polyrhythmic sort of stuff. But to me, this song sort of stands out as being that one that, for whatever reason, it has that just extra something that sort of draws you in. Maybe it's the fact that it doesn't have vocals. Maybe it's this instrumental sort of opus thing. I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you think. I'd love to know in the comments what you guys think. But whew, what a great song. It just takes you on a journey from just like this weird floatiness to like a car chase kind of, you know, aesthetic. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it from beginning to end. So it's really cool. I think I'm going to stick on this Rush journey for a while, man. Stick around. So thanks again. If you feel like I've brightened your day at all, feel free to support the channel just by buying me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description. Or if you choose, just hit the thanks button below the video. Obviously, like, share, subscribe. You know, look, the channel's pretty diverse. I know a lot of people here watching this are probably relatively new because I haven't really done any or as much sort of classic prog stuff in the past. And I know that the last video did pretty well comparatively. And so that generally means an abundance of new people showing up. So what I suggest is stick around, subscribe so that you get notifications, and just watch the videos that appeal to you. But look, my mission statement, if anything at all, with this channel is to try to push people out of their comfort zones. So if you see something pop up and you're like, oh, that's not really for me, maybe give it a chance, because the one thing as a fan of music, what I'd really love is to take people on a journey with me and go, look at this cool band I just discovered. I can see these 5 or 6 things about them that really impress me. Maybe they'll impress you too. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get at with this whole journey in this channel, is to get people listening to stuff that may not necessarily be in their comfort zone. And let me tell you, man, you know, this song blew my mind, but there's been innumerable, I've done probably getting close to 200 videos now. And honestly, like 1 in 10 is something that I didn't expect to really blow my skirt up. And it does, you know, because, you know, the journey I take is based on the recommendations I get from the audience, and the audience tends to know what they're talking about as far as like, oh, if you like that, you'll love this. And so, you know, you end up in these weird esoteric places listening to all female Japanese metal bands, or listening to, you know, Nordic folk music or whatever. But if you're a fan of music, if you truly are, and if you believe that you like, that value can be found anywhere, then stick around, because I think you'll find this channel will open your eyes to a lot of great stuff, because it certainly has for me. I've gone from being someone who thought they were a music lover to someone who is genuinely a music lover just by taking this journey. So come along, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and take a chance on a video every once in a while that may not be up your alley. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate you sticking around this long, and stay primal. I'll catch you on the next one.
Hey guys, this video is made possible by Enchroma. 1 in 6 guys and 1 in 200 women are colorblind, and if that happens to be you, there's something you can do about it. Click the link in the description, it'll take you to Enchroma's website where you can get a free eye test. And while you're there, maybe pick up some corrective lenses. They've got styles to suit everybody and a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you got really nothing to lose. And while you're there, use the code CHAOS in checkout to get 10% off. Tell them Primal Chaos sent you.